Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Detri Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop role-playing game where you play as monster girls experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released Daughters of Lamb. This is a pay-what-you-want tabletop RPG where you get to play as cybernetic nuns with guns, looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. You will find it in their website, the link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly sponsored by the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. They have recently released Final Frontier. This is a streamlined tabletop RPG of space explorations. Explore for justice or profit, perhaps both. You will find it in their website. The link will be in the description and in the pinned comment as well. Today I have the privilege of reviewing one of the greatest tabletop RPG books that I have ever seen. This tabletop RPG book, it's great for multiplayer or solo gameplay. That is, even if you play it with your game master, by yourself, with other players without a game master, I present to you the FlexTale Campaign Generator. Easily generate entire adventure worlds with zero preparation in any fantasy role-playing system. This is by the incredible author Jason Evans Payne, one of the greatest authors when it comes to solo material. But like I said, this is also great for a game master to quickly even improvise the entire session. With this tool you can actually do it. There are very rare cases when someone runs an improvised session, but with this one you actually have a chance to run an improvised session that is actually good. Now let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is great. Everything is well written, organized and explained. The document is fully bookmarked, so you won't have problems navigating this massive 223 pages document. The document is also hyperlinked. The graphic design is colorful but somewhat minimalistic. That is, it's colorful but not too much to the point that it's too visually jarring. There aren't illustrations. You have some colorful icons, some text boxes here and there, but the document is, like I said, somewhat simple in its design. But it looks great for it, considering all of the information that it contains. The only... it's not exactly a nitpick, it's more like a consideration for the one that is reading. Let me show you this image real quick. So you see these tables. In the upper left, you have dice, correct? Some other tables may give you the impression that they are actually tables to generate various elements, but no. If you don't have these dice over here, then it's not a table that you roll on to get random results. So just keep that in mind. Always look for the dice on the upper left side of the tables to see if you roll using that table. So the other tables are more like for organizational purposes. So overall, the quality is really good. Now let's talk about the contents. So what exactly is this? Have you ever felt like, as a game master, you have so many books that allow you to create adventures or generate adventures and whatnot, but don't you feel like sometimes they lack the structure and the material for the sections within that structure? You could be thinking, how do I even start this? What about the quests? How do I generate quests based on the events? What is the initial quest? How can I generate non-player characters that are believable, that make sense within the game world? And what about overland travel? How can I generate this? How can I create encounters? What about the factions? The magic, the rewards, the penalties? Pretty much everything is covered. So, this document, when it comes to running games for your players as a game master, I have complete confidence in taking this book and improvising an entire adventure based on the generated results. And especially thanks to the bookmarks and hyperlinks, I can get to where I want to. But yes, this is all about generating quests, the non-player characters, sentient creatures, the overland characteristics, the encounters, the organizations, the spells, the effects, the rewards. I will give you some examples. So, in any great adventure, and like I said, consider this for solo gameplay. This will give you the structure that you need for the start, the meat of the adventure, and the conclusion of it all, and to weave each adventure into a larger campaign. Let's go to the quest generators. Where do you even begin, right? You make a roll. Let me give you a better view of the table again so you have an idea. You make a roll on the where you begin table, and maybe it all begins at a tavern, right? But maybe it happens during festival chaos. There is a major celebration going on. Maybe someone starts attacking. Maybe there is just such a lively environment, and you meet up during the celebration, and because of the good mood you decide to team up. But what if you meet during a funeral, perhaps the funeral of a well-known adventurer or a skilled adventurer, and perhaps someone that is an acquaintance, a close acquaintance to everyone that is assisting to this dire event. But now you discover that you share that connection in common, and you perhaps create an adventuring group right there. Maybe you are surviving a catastrophe. You sometimes join together to survive such an event, a calamity. So there are many results. This is a D12 system of tables. You can also generate results using a D20 if you wish, a D100, a D6. You have tables to explaining how to make the conversion. But when it comes to the D6 results, they are a bit limited. It's basically like a result between 1 and 66. Or you could say, yes, it depends on the granularity that you want to handle, but I would recommend that you use a D12 instead. That's the standard way of generating the results. Now, after where you begin, who is the quest giver, right? Now you have your group. You have decided to band together for one reason or another, and now you're looking for work. And it turns out that an artisan is looking to hire people. You hear about this by talking to others or looking at the quest board at the tavern or inn. Maybe there is a security leader looking for people to assist him in some sort of stakeout, perhaps, or as guards for a certain place that is quite far away from the town but still within the property of the town's area. What if it's a noble? Or even a hermit, right? Now you can generate the quest itself. What is the quest? Maybe you need to deliver something. Maybe you need to chase someone. Maybe you need to stop something, a ritual or an operation. Maybe you need to escort someone. Maybe you need to assassinate a target. What about the quest hooks? Maybe this happens when the city is under siege. Maybe it occurs because of a wealthy employment, perhaps a wealthy enterprise. Maybe it is all part of a mystery. Maybe you just came upon evidence that gets you started into a particular undertaking. And what about the quest items? Do you need to retrieve something or return something to a particular sacred place? Maybe it's a musical instrument, A signet ring. Maybe you were hired to acquire a scroll, a leather-bound book, a particular ingredient. Maybe you go into the wilderness and you are looking for some sort of herb or seed or whatever, or fruit. And now, how is a new quest related to the game world? Maybe it is immediately clear, or maybe it will only be clear at the conclusion. What about the quest relationships? How do each adventure connect? Or how do the tasks at hand, how are they related to each other? Through a random non-player character? Through factions? Perhaps through a previously resolved quest if you're already in the middle of the campaign. You can determine everything about the types of quests, every nuance about who you are chasing. Let me give you an example, like the caravan quest. What's the trade group for the caravan? What are the beasts, the pack beasts, and the beasts that are transporting the caravan? What are their species? What is their species? If it's a rescue quest, who is the prisoner? If it's an obtain quest, what's the goal? If it's a stop quest, are you trying to stop a natural disaster? Or maybe a natural disaster that was artificially orchestrated. Maybe you need to stop some sort of sacrifice, a ritual sacrifice from happening. What about an assassination? Where is the target located? When it comes to non-player characters, what is their attitude? What is the attitude of the non-player character towards the player characters? Towards a particular group? And what's the profession of the non-player character? The background, the class, the equipment, the mannerisms, the quirks? What about Overland? You can generate random encounters for plains, hills, forests, jungles, any type of environment. You can determine the terrain, where the random hex is located. You can determine the weather, if there is impassable obstacles, landmarks. When it comes to encounters, what is the enemy's attitude? What is the context? What is the enemy's combat role? Are they soldiers, brutes, skirmishers, controllers, leaders? What about the factions? What's the type of the faction, the goal? The membership requirement, do you wish to join the faction or infiltrate it? When it comes to magic, you can generate magic spells of various degrees of power. You can also determine the school of abjuration, conjuration, divination. What about the rewards for the quest? What is the type? Is it wealth, item? Maybe it's related to a property. Maybe it's a social reward. Your reputation goes up because of clearing the quest. What about the penalties related to various quest and adventure nuances? What's the type? Maybe you take a penalty to your wealth for damages. Maybe you take a social penalty. It is not well looked upon when you undertake a particular task. Maybe it's a magical penalty. You end up cursed for whatever reason. Now, the ones that are very interesting are the utility generators. You can generate all sorts of things, such as random direction, the damage type, the merchant wares, the crimes, curses. You also have tips and advice on how to apply all of this to your system of choice. The document is incredibly complete. So what do I think? What do I think about the FlexTale Campaign Generator? This is one of the greatest documents in tabletop RPGs, in tabletop RPG history. You know, the publisher, Infinium Game Studio, they have the FlexTale Solo Adventuring Toolkit and the Flex AI Guidebook. With those two books, you already had everything to run any sort of adventure, solo, co-op, or as a dungeon master for your group. But this campaign generator streamlines so many things about, perhaps not so much on the part of the Flex AI Guidebook, But in the case of the FlexTale Solo Adventuring Toolkit, the campaign generator streamlines so many of its parts. So there could be someone that feels overwhelmed by the Solo Adventuring Toolkit. The campaign generator can easily replace that book, as long as you buy the FlexTale AI guidebook. But if you don't want an AI guidebook, if you don't want to determine the actions that the non-player characters are taking in social or combat related situations, the only thing that you need to improvise any adventure and any campaign is the FlexTale Campaign Generator. I am not joking. In the case of game masters, sometimes they have these toolkits, like I said, toolbooks or books that contain several tables, and they think, how does this even start? And after it starts, what happens then? Who is the quest giver? What is the quest itself? What about the non-player characters, the organizations? Everything can be determined in a streamlined way using the campaign generator. This is the ultimate streamliner of adventure generation. Even if you are playing solo, for solo this is going to be a delight. Solo players, take a look at this. You can generate everything, improvise everything, dynamic generation, and it doesn't feel disconnected. There is a structure, there is a clear conclusion for each quest that you generate. My highest, the pinnacle of my recommendations. Definitely get the FlexTale Campaign Generator. The author Jason has done it again, but he has surpassed his current level, his former skill level when it comes to crafting these wonderful books for tabletop RPGs, be it solo, co-op, or with a game master. My highest recommendation, get it right now, the link is in the description. Thank you for watching this review. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Like, subscribe, take a look at the information in the description, the pinned comment. I already said that twice, right? I am overwhelmed by this book. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master, and remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you and see you later.